Y'all ready? It looks like it's time, 6 o'clock. So welcome to the City Council regular meeting on August 6th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Looks like everybody's present today. So it's 6 o'clock. Let's get started. Starting with number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. So we are on to item 3, the citizen comment period. Let me go over some rules for citizen participation first. The City Council welcomes citizen participation and comments at all City Council meetings. If you speak, you must follow these guidelines. Respect and courtesy. Direct your comments to the entire City Council, not to an individual or to the audience. Show the City Council the same respect you would like to be shown. End your speaking period at the time allotted, and please remember that we cannot respond during citizen comment period. We are listening, but we are unable to respond. So first on the list is Tony Frasco.
Good evening. I respect the council, always have. I've come up with many questions and I never get answers. I sat on a council in New Jersey and I answered all the questions. I'm told Texas law says no. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I've asked for documentation, never received it. The council is obligated to the people. This is a public forum. What good is a public forum if the public only gets to speak with no answers? Never get a response. You draw on your pads, it's like you're taking notes, no answers. I don't know why. I'm also here to bring up the garbage situation. How in God's name do you give a 10-year contract? I've been a councilman, I've been in business. 1-year contracts, 5% a year for 10 years? That's ridiculous. I'm ready to start a petition to stop this garbage nonsense. Where senior citizens were on fixed incomes a lot. Now the garbage is going up, the water's going up, everything's going up except my Social Security. I think it's time you take a look at the seniors, the disabled vets, and start giving a reduction on the water because we don't use that much water. I put in an Xscape which cost a lot of money to try and save water for the state of Texas, but I don't know where we're going. Now that'll be going up. I think it's time you take a hard look at the seniors and the disabled vets and start giving a reduction on water prices. I'm not asking for freebies, but I think they should be adjusted for seniors on fixed incomes and disabled vets. I don't want to start a petition on the garbage. So I want answers, and I don't know whether I'll ever get them, and I resent that. I want answers on why you can't answer questions. Well, it's great to just sit up there and just listen, but how about us listening for answers? We deserve answers. And if I have to start a petition, I will start a petition. I'm getting kind of old to go through this nonsense now, but I will do it because I think the people of Garden Ridge deserve it. And I thank you very much.
I can't answer questions, but I will offer you to ask our city attorney after the meeting, and she could clarify that for you. Okay, number 2, Kim Schmidt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Shimmick. Thanks for letting me come tonight. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the golf cart ask And I'm here today. My father is with me as well in the audience. I actually moved to Garden Ridge so that I could get closer to him and my parents and the family. And we live in the woods of Garden Ridge today, and so we are able to use our vehicles inside the gated community. But the idea of us being able to travel to our parents who are just around the corner right off of Bat Cave, or over to the gym, or over to the park, right? Because we do a lot of stuff at Paul Davis Park. It would be really impactful, I think, in a positive way for us to have that ability. So I'm not sure. I know it's on the agenda, so maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that tonight. But I just wanted to let y'all know I've talked with a number of people. I think there might be others tonight that are gonna let you guys know they're interested in the golf carts. And if you need any help, if there's a committee, you can let me know. I'm happy to come and help, and I have a whole school's worth of moms and dads that would come help too. So just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Gabe Sappenfield. Did I get that name right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
Gabe Sappenfield. Yep, I'm Gabe Sappenfield. I live over on Bluebell, right by the park. We moved here 3 years ago. I'm also coming to talk about the golf carts. We moved here 3 years ago, and one of the things that we really enjoy about this community and this neighborhood is how close-knit everyone is, and the time that is spent in this community and in this neighborhood, and the efforts that are spent in just improving everything in the community. And one of the things that my family would really enjoy is the addition of being able to use golf carts in the neighborhood, because we feel that Garden Ridge is set up for that. The communities are very close together, the neighborhoods are close together. In our neighborhood specifically, there are no sidewalks, but the roads are wide, and it would be set up to travel via a golf cart easily. We also host a life group at the park and spend a lot of time at the park, and a lot of the families that attend that also live in this community and have voiced that they would like to be able to come to the park in their golf carts, and I think it would promote more community engagement and getting to know other families and spending time with those families and really putting down those deep roots. So yes, we would really enjoy the addition of golf carts in the neighborhood.
Thank you. So number 4 is Brian Campbell.
Hello, Brian Campbell. I live over there off of Sumac. Also going to talk about golf carts this afternoon, not to be redundant here, but just thinking, like the other two have said, allowing the golf carts in the community would do nothing but support togetherness and a little bit more interaction, right? It's definitely a lot easier to get around, whether you're going to visit neighbors, going up to the club of Garden Ridge to work out, or going to the many parks around here. It's no different than taking a vehicle, but every community that I've been in, whether it be Timberwood, down at the coast, New Braunfels even, Hollywood Park, they have golf carts, and it just seems like there's a little bit of more community aspect and togetherness there that I think if we would allow that, have the regulations in place, we can control it just like driving a vehicle, but there's just something different. I'm sure you guys have visited those places and seen that there's just a little bit more fun going on, and you can have some social interaction. Also with our senior, community members, I think it would allow them a little bit more ease to get in and not have to get in their full-size vehicle to drive down to the club or drive to the parks to interact and take part in some of the events that are going on there. Like they've mentioned, talked to numerous people in the community all around the Garden Ridge area. Everybody would promote it and encourage it. So thank you for the time, and if you have any questions, you can ask us. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And last up is David Krasinski.
Yep, David Krasinski. Do I need to do the address thing? 8475 Park Lane Drive. Obviously, I'm in alignment with some of the folks that I talked earlier, but as we consider the growing use of golf carts in Garden Ridge and the city's ordinance supporting the legal use on local roads, it's worth looking at how this impacts something important to all of us, home values. I know I spoke on it the last time I was here, but the reality is golf carts can golf cart friendly communities are increasingly attractive to families and retirees looking for both convenience and lifestyle. Being able to hop in a golf cart to visit neighbors, head to the local park, attend events, adds a charm and ease of living here. This type of amenity, because that's what it is, an amenity, can boost buyer interest and market appeal, especially for families with teens or couples looking for a relaxed, connected neighborhood city. It signals a community that is safe, engaged, and family-oriented, and that is exactly what buyers are looking for. I assume as long as we keep safety at the forefront, golf cart culture could be absolutely have a fabulous impact on our home values in Garden Ridge. So I appreciate you considering this tonight and discussing it. Thank you all.
Thank you. So on to item 4, the consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. Anybody have anything they'd like to pull from the consent agenda? Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda?
And a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay, on to staff reports. Ryan, you're up first.
Mayor and council, I will, most of the information outlined under the city manager report is in your packet for review if you have any questions. I will highlight specifically our employee anniversaries and recognitions here. Wendy Bibbert, assistant librarian, 2 years. And then Michelle Hinosa, administrative coordinator, 5 years. Sorry, Cindy, I jumped the gun. So. As indicated, we appreciate all their work they do for the city. So, volunteer hours, a little over 7 hours for our bill stuffers for our water bill. At this point, I will turn it over to our staff for individual reports. That being Robin.
Thank you. I have just a couple of items to report tonight. We currently have, excuse me, 2 vacant police patrol officer positions. We have had a second resignation this month, so we are going to be looking to fill 2 patrol officer positions. We have made a conditional offer for a court administrator, which is good news, and they are currently going through the process of getting the requirements met. So we could potentially have a new court administrator by our next regular council meeting. And that's really all I have to report.
Great, thank you. Council, do you have any questions for Ryan or Robin? Okay, on to City Secretary. Marissa?
The only things that I wanted to highlight is that we do have an upcoming holiday where City Hall will be closed on Monday, September 1st. And then the other thing I just wanted to highlight was that the City of Garden Ridge has reported compliance with the annual cybersecurity training requirements for fiscal year 2025. So thank you to everyone for getting those training videos or podcasts, whichever one you did, completed. That is all that I have.
Thank you, Marissa. On to the Police Department. Chief?
Thank you, ma'am. Most everything is in the report. I do want to add a few things under our outreach efforts. So we do have some events coming up soon. One of them is our Garden Ridge Citizen Police Academy Alumni Casino Night. That is taking the place of the car show. They are not doing a car show this year. We're doing a casino. And that is on October 18th. We're going to post some more things on the internet, on Facebook. We still have a few tables left to sponsor. Excuse me. So we're looking forward to doing that. And if you're interested, please go online and sign up for a table and have a good time. And We've got a bunch of silent auction and live raffle items that we'll be doing over there as well. We are also going to be opening up and starting registration for National Night Out block parties. So again, that's October. I believe it's October 7th, the first Tuesday. We are trying to get like we did last year, get the block parties assembled in the community, in the neighborhoods, register with us. We'll come by. We've got officers that will come by. Fire department comes out. We get people to go by, have a chat. And then we will also have a door prize drawing for different things for the parties that night. So please sign up, get those organized in your groups and in your communities so we can go out and get this message put out to everybody. It's all about getting to know your neighbors, getting that involvement with everybody right around you. We also have Pizza with the Police coming up on September 4th, and that will be right here in the council chambers. We do that from about 6 to 8. Anybody that wants to come out, the officers will be here. There's no agenda. It's just getting together, having some pizza, and chatting with everybody and getting to know everybody. So we've got that coming up as well. And the only other thing I want to add under admin comments, so with the school coming up, some of y'all may not be aware, every year we in the past we've done tabletop active shooter exercise. So every year about this time, we've got some new officers. We will be doing our training for active shooter response and school response. So over the next few weeks, our officers will be getting together with the supervisors, doing the walkthroughs, making sure our maps are up to date, which we've already done, and making sure they are familiar with everything in the schools, ingress, egress, how we're going to respond at both Garden Ridge Elementary and Davenport High School, because we will support them as well with the county. So that, if you see groups of officers at schools over the next couple of weeks, that's what we're doing, is the refamiliarization with the layouts of the schools to make sure everybody's on the same page. And that's about all I've got for now.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions for Chief or Marissa? We're good to keep you forward. Okay, so E, Public Works Department.
Good evening. I have nothing to add. Everything's in my report. I just wanted to express my gratitude to City Manager, the council, for all the considerations y'all are putting in the budget for public works upgrades, equipment, and infrastructure upgrades. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. So on to the library. Linda? Oh, water, sorry. It's not specifically listed. So yes, water. Let's get
Okay.
Dwayne for water first,
Yes.
please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So far, work orders last month, we've had 8. Locates, we've had 49. Meter reads at 1,701. Total portal customers, 922, up 10 from June. The meter daily readability percentage is 98.97% out of 1,694. The Edwards, for the month we pumped 18.13 acre feet. That will go up. We have 385 available still. We are currently in stage 3. Distribution samples, we had 6 last month, all that passed. 31 residual samples, all that passed. 1 special sample, which also passed. We had a 1.7% water loss last month. The average so far has been 2%. Of course, the national average is 16%. So we're doing good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the report. Any questions for water or public works? Council? No? Okay, then on to Linda in the library.
Good evening. We had 125 volunteer hours this last month, which is really good. Last night, I was asked for a synopsis of my vision for the library, and it just happens that I had put in your packets this month a little bit of what we're hoping for. It's called We Are Launching. I hope you got to read that. It's about third places, about where people can go for friendships and for social gatherings. And in there's a sentence that says, my heart's desire is to make the library the heart of a community's social vitality. That's just it in a nutshell. I also wrote a little bit about there's an epidemic of loneliness in this country, and the library is a safe place for people to be, to come and make friends, and it's all-inclusive. I won't mention that two former mayors have told me they were working on a bigger library for me. But I just want to say I appreciate Mayor Lisa for saying she would like to have a feasibility study. That's a first step, and I greatly appreciate that. So, as I say, I would love to see Garden Ridge Library become the heart of our community. Like the motto says at the very top of each of my monthly reports, for leisure, for learning, for life. So that's all.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions for Linda? No? Then moving on to item 6, city engineer project status reports. Hank?
Good evening. Just wanted to touch on a couple of items outside of the report. FM 2252 project is under the revegetation. That is the last piece. I expect to do a final punch walk in the next couple weeks. So we're really close to having that one finalized and the contractor complete. The Bat Cave Road project, that's scheduled to start next Monday. They should be bringing their equipment out for that, so there will be along Bat Cave between the northern edge of the city all the way down to the Lutheran Church. There will be one-lane closures with traffic switching sides throughout the next month, and they should be closing up in the first week of September is what they're scheduled right now. And I also wanted to announce that we have a new TxDOT area engineer. His name is Jeb Smith. He was promoted internally, so he should be up to speed pretty soon. And that's all I have to add.
Thank you. Any questions for our engineer? No, we're all good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep. On to City Commission reports and recommendations. The Planning and Zoning Commission did not meet, so there's no updates. And the Water Commission also did not meet, so no updates there. So on to 8, approvals and authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. A, ordinance number 54-08, 2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting a comprehensive water company for the City of Garden Ridge, providing definitions and statement of organization, establishing a water commission, general policies, regulations and rules, and rates and billing cycles, providing for a penalty, providing for severability, and declaring an effective date. I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Mayor and Council, this ordinance is a result of the recommendation by the Water Commission and approval by Council at the July meeting in regards to the adjustment, the rate structure consisting of the $4 base rate increase and 4% tier rate increase must be reflected in this ordinance, and this is a result of bringing this ordinance for adoption. The second part to that is the change in the ex officio member for the Water Commission in section 4.02. It indicates the mayor, and this will be changing it to a council member. So I assume, Natalie, that our council will approve separately. So, but this is just to ordain the adoption of the water rate increase.
Okay, any questions for Ryan before we move on these? A little bit on the appointment of ex officio member to the Water Commission. Historically, it has been the mayor, but I think it makes more sense to have somebody that has either the interest and or the knowledge. And we've got somebody here that I'd like to bring up for appointment. That's our very own Jim. He's agreed to fall on the sword and continue in his water work. So we can move forward. So can I get a motion on A, the ordinance number 54-08, 2025?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 54-082025, ordinance for the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting a comprehensive water company for the City of Garden Ridge, providing definitions and statement of organizations, establishing a water commission, general policies, regulations and rules and rates and billing cycles, providing for a penalty, providing for severability, and declaring an effective date.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Let's call it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And B, appointment of ex officio member to the Water Commission. As I mentioned, I suggest that we appoint Jim Moeller. He's got the skills and the willingness to do it, and I think he's a perfect fit.
So I got a question. So once we, do we have to approve the appointment of an ex officio member first, and then we vote to nominate a council member, or is it all looped into one vote on B?
So the ordinance had the change in there that was from the mayor to a council member. So with the first vote, it addressed that. So B would be just the appointment.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
I got it.
Okay.
I move that we approve Jim Mueller to be the ex officio member of the Water Commission, since he volunteered.
Since he's good at it. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Thank you so much. Let's take it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you for doing that. That'll be great. We are at C, 2025 tax rates. Review the 2025 no new revenue, voter approval, and de minimis tax rate calculations. And Ryan's got this.
While we're waiting for the presentation, I know people are here to hear about the golf cart, but they will have to listen to the tax rate. Go through it real quick, so. So good evening, Mayor and Council. We're going to go through the timeline. Sorry. Yeah, it's on. The timeline for the 25 tax rate process. Obviously, it's an essential part of the fiscal planning and governance. This is the next step in the development of our budget. The overview outlines key steps, responsibility, deadlines to ensure full compliance, transparency as we move towards adopting both the budget and the tax rate levy. Again, as I said before, thank you, Robin, for all the work done on this presentation. So. There we go. So as you can see, the process officially began on July 25th when we received the tax rate calculations from the tax assessor collector. From there, we moved through a structured sequence of events, including review, public notice, hearings, all leading to our adoption date on September 3rd, 2025. Each of these dates is critical to meeting our legal obligations and providing adequate time for public engagement. 2025 tax rates again. Now that we've covered the timeline, let's take a look at and understand the key tax rates. The no new revenue rate. We have the no new revenue rate, formerly known as what was the effective rate. This rate is designed to generate the same amount of property tax revenues from the same properties as the previous years. In other words, it neutralizes the impact of rising property values by lowering the rate proportionally. The voter approval rate. This rate allows the taxing unit to collect about the same amount of revenue as prior for daily operations, which is an allowed increase of 3.5 to support inflation and debt obligations. It is a proposed rate exceeds the limit, it would trigger a voter approval requirement. De minimis, which is introduced under Senate Bill 2 and applies to smaller taxing units, as indicated as Garden Ridge. This formula gives the smaller taxing units a bit more flexibility. And then finally, when settling the tax rate, whether election is triggered depending on how the adopted tax rate compares to voter approval, as the minutes, crucial to evaluate all three in this case, so you all know what the breakdown is, and it's on the tax calculations that I handed out last night on the worksheet. So here is the tax rates comprised of the maintenance and operations, and then of course INS, which is our debt. The city currently has debt obligations to pay with property taxes. Therefore, the current tax rate is comprised entirely of maintenance and operations, M&O, with the interest sinking tax rate. So as demonstrated on the chart below, including the INS, which funds the payment of city debt, the total proposed tax decrease will be .008726 from tax year 24. The M&O tax rate, which funds the functions of the general fund, will go up by .005634 for the adopted tax year if the recommended tax rate is eventually adopted. The INS actually went down, or will go down, or is down because of the debt payments made last year and paying off some other debt. So the INS tax rate will go down by .014360 for an overall reduction in the tax rate, .008726. So you see in there, the total of 24 adopted was the .2555156. So what we're proposing here is .246430, which is that difference of 008726. So it actually, as the voter approval rate has gone down and it's below the actual affected rate and or what was referred to as the no new revenue. Let's go through this one real quick. Sorry. So tax rate overview, the no new revenue rate, as indicated on the calculations I passed out last night, 0.253534, and the voter approval is 0.246430. The estimated M&O revenue for the is to collect 2,134,103, and that difference between the no new revenue and the voter approval is the 0.07104. We've looked at this, and Robin can attest that it's been looked at by the tax assessor collector's office in Comal, that this is a little rare that it's actually below the that the voter approval is actually below what is usually the no new revenue rate, and that's because our INS actually dropped. The debt dropped as a result of paying off either one series of debt or a recent debt from last year, correct, Robin? So when you look at the average home increases, 2024, the valuations, 704,322. This year is higher valuation, 721,066, which is an increase. Indicating and corresponding to the average tax decrease, the voter approval actually brings it down by $20. So it's $20 less to individual homeowners with the current proposed tax rate. So as part of the budget development and what is proposed in the current filed budget that we discussed last night, staff is recommending the 0.246430, which is 0.08726 lower than last year's adopted tax rate. Public hearings, as a result, that we're going below, I believe, right, Robin? After publishing the required notice, must hold one public hearing. A quorum of the governing body must be present in the hearing, and then the public hearing actually is not required this year to adopt the tax rate this year, since the voter approval is lower than the no new revenue. However, we still believe and think we should have a public hearing for input for the residents and transparency reasons, so we'll still move forward with publishing the notice based upon y'all's direction and approval tonight on this tax rate, and then still have our tax rate hearing on the September 3rd. So any questions?
I'd just like a comment. This is really a first since I've been on council that the no new revenue rate was higher than the voter approval rate. And that was really hard for me to wrap my head around for a little while. Robin explained it to me. I spoke some with Kristen Hoyt. But I think we're lucky this year to be able to lower our, typically what happens is we are able to lower our tax rate, but because appraisals have gone up, citizens still end up paying more taxes. This year, we're not in that situation. We're able to lower the tax rate, and it will bring in the money that we need and, provide a little break for the citizens, which is a whole lot better than going up, so.
And as a result of the shrinking INS being debt, that's actually helped that drop.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to utilize, as I've indicated in the proposed budget, to use what we have as healthy reserves towards our capital projects, we're not borrowing. We're continuing to use the reserve for future capital projects and not taking on debt. So,
Anybody else? Any questions? Y'all are good? Okay, we need to propose by record vote a tax rate for the 2025 tax year. Is there certain language we need to be using?
It's just by record, so you just call each council member
Okay.
yay or nay. But I think you have to read out the proposed motion, to reading out the proposed tax rate. So
Right.
we can publish, but it has to be record by individual council.
Right, I understand the record vote, but, yeah, Marissa?
I think it would be best if you include in your motion the type of rate that you're going to propose, whether it's the no new revenue, voter approval, or de minimis. So that wording, as well as the actual total tax rate.
Okay. Gotcha. So, can we get a motion to approve one of the rates?
I have a motion to approve the 2025 voter-approved tax rate of .246430.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? No? So roll call vote. I'll start with Council Place 1.
Aye.
Council Place 2.
Aye.
Council Place 3. Council Place 4.
Aye.
Council Place 5.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
And Mayor and Council, as we discussed last night, by going through this proposed tax rate, it will allow us additional dollars under the M&O, as we discussed. So that'll help as we discuss unfunded projects as we continue towards adoption of the budget.
It's good stuff. So 3, I'm supposed to announce the date, time, and place of the 2025 tax rate public hearing and adoption. That will be on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, at 6 p.m. at City Hall. On to item D. We still have a little bit more work to do on this, so I'd like to propose we table it until the August 25th special meeting. Yeah, we probably, let's get a motion on it.
Okay,
Right.
I move to approve that we table the request for Buckley Powder Company until our August 25th meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Yep, sorry, I should have read that one out loud, I didn't. Okay, E, discussion on possible amendments to ordinance number 168 related to the use of golf carts. So, Ryan, take it away.
Mayor and Council, since I've been here for a few months, I was asked by a couple different council members that we bring this, I guess it was bring it back to City Council for review and discussion. And so I've talked to Chief here about what his thoughts are, perspective as what the Garden Ridge Police Department think about it, of course, and then discussing and outlining rules and regulations and what, you know, they would sort of support in this manner. So what I want to do is turn it over to the chief and let him go through some of the discussion points that would be sort of regulations if this were to move forward. Ideally, if council wanted to do it, we'd have to bring back the actual ordinance to amend accordingly at the next meeting.
Good evening. Let's talk about golf carts. Everyone's going to get a crash course. It's going to be feeding you with a fire hose. Okay, first let's distinguish what everyone's talking about. So you've got golf carts, ATVs, UTVs, and NEVs. Okay, you have golf carts, which everyone knows what the golf cart is. You have UTVs, which are your side-by-side seat all-terrain vehicles. You've got ATVs, which are the smaller four-wheel drive with saddle seats where people sit front to back straddled. And then you have NEVs, which are neighborhood electric vehicles. Each one of these is covered in a different statute under state law. So first of all, ATVs are totally out of the question. ATVs cannot be operated on public roadways in the state of Texas. So scratch those off. So that one's an easy one. Now we've got ATVs, or UTVs, golf carts, and NEVs. NEVs, neighborhood electric vehicles, are basically small electric vehicles that are almost the same as a Tesla. And in how they're described. They have to be registered through TxDOT, just like a regular motor vehicle, insured, licensed operator, fall under all the same rules. There's not very many restrictions. Don't really see too many NEVs anymore these days, but they are out there. So let's talk about golf carts and UTVs. This is what everybody's going to want to drive around out here. So golf carts and UTVs can be operated on public roads, okay, as long as we set an ordinance. There are quite a few state laws that also regulate the movements of UTVs and golf carts. Some of those are you cannot operate them on a state highway. So they cannot be operated on 2252 and they cannot be operated on 3009. That's where we're going to start getting into the confusion here. Can you put the map up that I gave y'all? So we have 6 gated communities in Garden Ridge. 5 of them are highlighted here in yellow. Inside your gated communities, it's private property. HOA governs that, and they can allow you to do whatever you want inside those gated areas. Those are not public roads, okay? You'll notice George Ranch is not highlighted because George Ranch, even though it's a gated community, years ago signed an agreement, legal agreement with the city of Garden Ridge that would adopt the transportation code. So inside George Ranch, we enforce all transportation code violations just like a regular public roadway when it comes to vehicles. So that's why that's not highlighted. The reason I highlighted these is to show if you adopt an ordinance, and we'll get into more about what that's going to cover, there are certain areas in the city that will not be allowed to drive their golf carts anywhere else in the city other than their gated community, such as Trophy Oaks. Trophy Oaks cannot drive on 3009 and cannot cross 3009 because there's not an intersection at their entrance that allows for a legal crossing of that highway. So Trophy Oaks is stuck in Trophy Oaks, okay? Wild Wind, they can go out. They can go out into the city on Bat Cave. I've already talked to Comal County. That section of Bat Cave that belongs to Comal County, which on this map shows in a double thick black line, which does not belong to the city, even though it's surrounded by the city. It's not our road. They allow golf carts to be operated within state law, which is what our ordinance would also cover. So Wild Wind can go out and drive on Bat Cave and cross Bat Cave, as the Park at Garden Ridge may. But you have Arrowwood Estates. They are stuck. They cannot go anywhere because then they would have to drive on 2252 or cross it. They cannot legally do that. You have the Enclave and the Woods, and they're like Wild Wind. They can leave, come and go, as long as they stay off 3009. So it gets confusing because while you're in those gated communities, anybody can operate because it's private property and it doesn't go by state law. Once you leave that, then the state laws and the ordinance will come into effect. State laws being you must be of legal age and have a valid driver's license to operate the golf cart or UTV on a public roadway. You cannot have anybody under the age of 4 on that vehicle. The vehicles can only be operated during daylight hours, which is 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunset, no nighttime. They have to be registered through TxDOT. They issue a license plate just like a car. It doesn't come back the same way, but they have to be registered in that manner. The fees, I forget what the fees are off the top of my head, I'm sorry, but that can be done through the county tax office and do that. They have to have slow moving emblem placards on them, and there are some other issues there. So it will get a little confusing for some people, and I want to highlight some of the issues that I see that may come up, and that being you're going to see your neighbor go down, somebody's going to see their neighbor go down the street on a golf cart and think, okay, I can just go get a golf cart and start driving around. We're going to start running, if we run across young people that are unlicensed and no one can come out there, we're going to be impounding golf carts, and people are going to get upset. We hope we can stop that through education, but there is going to be a learning curve to all of this. So people can maneuver through the city on golf carts, but it's not going to be quite as simple as everybody thinks. It's going to take a while to learn what they can and cannot do by state law. That's the bulk of it. Now what do you want to know in detail?
Questions for Chief?
do they also have to be insured as well? Is that part of the registration?
I don't believe that is part of the registration. I'd have to check the state law on that. I don't, there's so many different ones with the NEVs, and I don't recall off the top of my head.
And
I
Chief-
believe so. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and then the registration fee, it'd be a city registration fee.
No,
right?
that's a state registration.
Oh, it
Just
is a
like
state.
It's like a
Okay,
regular
not for the
license plate,
city.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and to add just a little bit more confusion to this, we have the area, the park at Garden, not the park at Garden Ridge, I believe it's the woods, down off Tonkawa between Wild Wind and 2252. I know some of those residents also want to be able to utilize golf carts to get around. The problem is, they will not be able to go anywhere. They can't get out on 2252 legally, and they cannot go through Wild Wind legally. I've already talked to the HOA of Wild Wind, and they are not going to grant permission for non-residents to be going back and forth through there. It's considered trespassing. It is private property. So you do have to deal with some of those other issues there as well. So anybody in that area will not be able to get anywhere else in the city.
But they all do drive and walk through the neighborhood though already?
Well,
That's.
I'm just telling you what's going to happen. And there's what's happening, and there's what's legal.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. With the development of 2252, we are going to have a multi-use path and a walking path. I'm assuming
Cannot
those.
be used for ATVs.
Okay,
no,
I just
'cause
wanted
that's
to
still
clarify
TxDOT
that, 'cause-
right-of-way, part of the state highway.
Okay, yeah, I think that's, we're going to need
And
some
shoulders don't
education
count,
there,
you know,
right?
everything that TxDOT owns from pole line to pole line is considered part of the roadway, and it's not allowed.
Great, good to know. More questions? Discussion?
I have looked over New Braunfels ordinance. They have a great ordinance. They have a great little outline that they put on their website that kind of explains what they do allow, don't allow. I've drafted up something very similar based on theirs. But like I said, it does get a little confusing when you start looking at the individual areas. It can benefit a lot of people, but it's going to frustrate quite a few people as well, because they're not going to be able to utilize it the way everybody else can.
I'm assuming the sound ordinances would apply as well. I'm going down to Port A now in my brain, going golf carts,
Yes.
cranking around Port
We
A with
do have a sound
big
ordinance
sound
about- yep.
systems on it, you know, have
So
a
many
giant
feet away,
party,
yeah.
open
Yes.
containers, all that kind of stuff. None of that's allowed.
Open containers
All
are
the
allowed,
standards. Okay.
There are, like I said, there's a lot of restrictions. A lot of folks get upset, you know, when they find out it's daytime only, nobody under the age of 4, you know, have to be a licensed driver, that sort of thing. So it does start restricting it somewhat, which adds to the safety of what you're able to do, which is great. I understand some folks are not going to be real happy about that, though.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sure.
Yeah.
Do we have is there a possibility to write into the ordinance a sub-ordinance, I guess, for approval for, I'm trying to think of holidays like Halloween? You know, like we do for, because I know there's a lot of people that do drive around on that type of stuff on Halloween, and we don't really, you know, nobody messes with them really.
And usually that's within gated communities, which can be done inside gated communities.
Yeah.
You can do that anytime.
Yeah.
Inside
But
a
I'm
gated
talking about like because I know there's a lot of.
You can, but then you just start adding to the confusion.
racks and-
You know, I mean, y'all have in the ordinance right now on the 4th of July.
Right.
And we've got folks from Trophy Oaks that want to come over. Well, your ordinance may say it's okay, but state law says they can't come across that highway, regardless of your ordinance.
Right.
So, like I said, you know, there's some things you want to try to avoid, just so it doesn't become too confusing for the residents.
Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you.
I just want to say, when I was campaigning and doing a lot of block walking, I heard a lot about golf carts. You know, it's been on the agenda off and on over the years, and I was really, you know, I'm not surprised, but I was, we just got a lot of comments about golf carts, particularly in you know, older parts of Garden Ridge.
Sure.
Just the ability to drive down to the park with the kids, or go to, you know, a friend's house without having to you know, get the car out
And
and
in a
do all
lot of
those
instances,
things.
that can happen
Right.
with
right.
restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very comfortable with this, as long as, you know, all the safety precautions and
And-
restrictions.
And I didn't even get into what's required for safety equipment.
Right,
That will all be outlined in the guidelines and so forth, because they're all gonna have to have mirrors and the emblems and the registrations and that sort of thing, before they can get the registration and be ordinance and law compliant.
and I do agree with you, it's gonna take some education and some time
gonna take
for
a
people
lot
to
of
get used to
education.
the,
And
to the
and there's gonna
rules.
be those that do not take the effort to learn, and those are the ones that, I just want y'all to understand when y'all start hearing about us
Oh, yeah.
taking enforcement action.
Right, right,
That there's a reason for that.
right. I can completely see that, for sure.
And, unfortunately, they can't, not to pick on you, Linda, they can't come up to the library on a golf cart. They can't come to
Right.
City Hall and pay
Nope.
their water bill on a golf cart.
Right.
Because it's off a state highway. So there's certain areas that are gonna be landlocked.
And that makes
And there's just nothing
sense.
we can do about that.
Right.
That is state law.
Yeah, but I mean, it also makes sense that people should not be crossing highways where there's high speed, so,
Yeah.
hopefully some of that common sense just sinks in there as well.
Yeah. Now, Chief, we did that bid for the bridge. They quote us 10 million, and you said you could do it for 1. Is that still
Yeah.
a possibility?
That
Not
was a
gonna
walking
fly
bridge.
over to
The
the
flyover.
school,
That was a walking
right?
bridge.
Yeah, it's probably gone up since then.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this has been the single biggest question I've had directed at me since the day that I ran. So it needs to be addressed. I think,
It's drawing attention, I get that.
safety has to be paramount. That's the last thing we want, right, is something to happen to somebody. so.
Unfortunately, and it's not our section, but Batcave, that's where everybody has the biggest concern, because that's gonna be your second largest thoroughfare. A lot of it is not ours, it's the county, but regardless of who owns it, our section is basically the same width as the county section. It's not wide, it doesn't have shoulders, and it's got a lot of blind hills, and that's what people are concerned with. We can address it as best we can through the regulations of what's required by law and the slow-moving placards and all, but there's only so much we can do. If it's authorized, it's authorized, and it's gonna be a little scary operating on that road for everybody.
Do we know if the county would allow us to put some signage on their parts of the road?
Signage referring to what?
Well, possibly, I mean, like pedestrian / golf cart crossing or something. I'm thinking like outside of Wildwind or over at,
I don't know if they would or not. That would all have to go, I imagine that would have to be approved by Commissioner's Court. Not sure how that would go about. I know the law allows it, and they said that they would go, allow whatever the law allowed. There's no signage required by law, because the intersections don't require that due to the speed limits. But
right.
I don't know if they would table that idea or not,
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm just thinking for from a safety aspect, so at least warning people that are coming down that road that, they're gonna see golf carts probably, so, and pedestrians,
I'm not suggesting that we do this, but do we have the ability, as a city, to block roads, to say this is not?
Yes.
Okay, so that's.
If it's a
that's-
city road, yes.
Right, okay, right. So that doesn't apply to the county.
But that particular strip.
Right,
is
right,
not
but I'm
ours.
just trying to think ahead if there's something that becomes an issue.
And when you look at everything as a whole, I have a lot of concerns with the golf carts because of all those issues, and I think, unfortunately, there's gonna be some that abuse it. There always is in anything that you do, though. It will be enjoyed by those that do it properly, but Batcave Batcave and Shanethal are the only other big issues that I really see when it comes to golf carts because of visibility and road conditions. Just because of the size of the road and the type of roads that they are. Those are the ones that are gonna be traversed with the most caution.
Agreed.
So I got a thought. Do we want to do some sort of, and I'm going to look at Natalie and I'm going to look around at everybody else up here, some sort of a public hearing on this? Real quick, but we do have a lot of people that want to run golf carts and maybe do a public hearing. I'm going to look at the folks that advocated for it that are sitting back there going, with all of these restrictions, are you still interested in doing that? And having the group of people coming in and telling us if that's the case and you're going to comply with all the restrictions, okay. I too, since I live on Batcave, I can tell you right now, I hate saying it, somebody's going to get smeared on Batcave. Because there's too many blind corners on that thing, and there's way too many people going way too fast.
And we cannot enforce traffic on that street.
Exactly. So I've had to call the sheriff more than once on people, as you well know.
I've actually had the constables out there for the last week,
Okay.
trying to keep an eye on it.
Yep. So I don't know if that's something we want to do as a group. It could also be a great way to get people educated on, if we're going to do this, this is your restrictions. And, you know, that means your 12-year-old who desperately, trust me, I raised 2 boys, I'm going to drive the golf cart down to the park. Yeah, no, you're not. Well, you can, but then you're not going to get the golf cart back because it's going to be gone. That kind of thing. It might be a place to have that conversation to make sure everybody's clear on it, or at least the people that would come to a public hearing about it.
And let's touch real quick on the park. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. So they can take them to the park, but we do have some signs there, and they're going to be augmented, that they only can be used and utilized on the parking area. You cannot drive around the park on golf carts or electric bicycles. They can be in the parking lot, which is the paid parking, or the designated overflow parking, which I also have a map that will go with the ordinance along to show that, which is our overflow gravel area there by the drainage. But you cannot run around in the park on these vehicles. That's just another disadvantage and another restriction.
Where's the park? If you could put a dot, Chief, on this map.
Oh, should
Oh,
have
yeah, I mean with the,
cursor. Up, down, right there.
so I guess based on that, who would benefit with the golf cart? What subdivisions off the top of your head?
Well, everybody except Arrowwood and Trophy Oaks. Now, Regency Run, we didn't talk about it, but even Regency Run is not gated. It's public, but they're stuck. They're landlocked as well. They can't go anywhere because they're off 2252. And there is no ingress or egress through Trophy Oaks from Regency, so they're stuck on their street as well. So like I said, there's several areas that will be landlocked that can't go anywhere.
And I've discussed that. I mean, everybody I've talked to, I mean, over the last few years, I mean, I'm talking a couple hundred people. Of course, I get to see all the parents of the school and everything, but and I've advised them. I'm like, look, there will be certain, you know, like Trophy Oaks. There's gonna be some of you guys who cannot, you won't be able to utilize this. You won't be able to take advantage of it. And so that's something that's been the caveat that I've told everybody. If this ever happens, there's gonna be a lot of restrictions. So,
And as it is
the
now,
words
the
I get
golf
is
carts
we still want it.
in George Ranch are enforceable under state law. So they're not quite the same as the other gated communities where younger kids, unlicensed drivers, they can't do that in George Ranch.
Right, okay, so I'm not sure that we need a public hearing so much as we need an education session after we, move an ordinance forward.
So I have a guidelines draft, very similar. So New Braunfels, like I said, they did a good job. I did a lot of research on different cities, and theirs is put together very well. It's very informative, easy to follow. So I've got a guidelines document that kind of explains everything in layman's terms. And then I've got a sample ordinance as well, which should be close to the word just jumped out of our format for what we need for home rule. I've got all that stuff drafted and be happy to send it out to all the council members so that y'all can kind of peruse it and look at it and take a look and see what exactly, it's everything that we were just talking about this evening in written form. And that might help with some of what you're trying to understand.
Good. Ryan, do you have any thoughts? I know Castle Hills, where you came from, had golf carts.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty basic as far as what was outlined in the ordinance. Obviously, similar regulations that you follow in state law. It was all inclusive because it was, you were divided by 15, Northwest Military. So yeah, you couldn't take it on Northwest Military. Same as 3.0 on here. So it benefited sort of one side of the city there. But they did allow it with the regulations. But again, sort of similar where you can and can't go from that standpoint.
Any major issues?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, for most part, there was only one park, and everybody just went to community events and landed in the park there. And there you could drive up to City Hall and pay your water bill, I mean, excuse me, your permit fees or whatever, from that standpoint. But yeah, I don't recall very many issues in my 7 years there as far as problems or issues or enforcement from that standpoint, so. I did notice, like, as Chief mentioned, State Highway, when I was, or Councilman Arvidsson, but there's signs all over 360 now when you're in Port Aransas that are like $500 fine immediately if you get on a golf cart on 360, which is a state highway there. So there's signage all over the place. So that was just a few weeks ago when I saw that.
I asked New Braunfels. Unfortunately, their computer system could not break it down the way I wanted to, because I was asking about citations and violations relating to golf carts. They don't have any way in their system to differentiate vehicles from golf carts, so I haven't been able to get that data yet. I do know by talking to some of the administrators up there that their biggest issue is folks ignoring 306 and the highways that they're not supposed to be on is a problem. And now that they've got, we don't have the nightlife spots yet, but there's with the increase of businesses that are open in the evening in downtown New Braunfels, they've got people that want to go down and enjoy these outdoor spots during nighttime hours, and they're having their carts impounded in citations, and they're upset, want to know why they can't do that at night, even though they have lights on their golf carts. Doesn't matter, the law doesn't allow it. So there are some issues. They've had it for a while, and they're still having issues with people not understanding the way it goes. And again, I think a lot of that is because people don't take the time to do the research and learn. They just see somebody doing something and think they can go ahead and do it. So it all comes down to the education.
Yeah, I think education is key here, because we want this to be safe for everybody. Next steps, Ryan?
It's kind of whatever you all as council would like to do. I mean, I know there was a public hearing idea thrown out. Chief can set out the regulations per se, and again, discuss this at the next council meeting to fine tune and hear from the public to make sure that everybody has an understanding of regulations if this were to happen. But obviously, it seems like there's an interest to have this and just have an understanding that residents would be only permitted to a certain area for use, and then having to follow the state regulations, then I can't see an issue with it from that standpoint.
Okay, council, is this something we want to keep moving forward on? Thumbs up? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm cautiously optimistic on it, and I think we mentioned the communication plan. Probably would want to know what that is, how we're going to get the word out, because I certainly don't want to create a whole bunch of extra work for the police department, but I don't want to punish residents that are going to follow the rules by saying no to everybody, if that makes sense.
Great comments, yeah. Okay, we'll keep moving forward. Work on the next.
So is there anything you want from a council standpoint brought back to the next meeting to discuss this item that you'd like to see, whether that's the outline of what regulations people would have to follow, how we would educate folks, those kind of things, and having some kind of item that's separate to hear directly from residents about the use of golf carts at the next meeting, which will help obviously make the decision, so we can either go yes or no at the next meeting on this.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, what about, I know Chief said he was working on I guess on an ordinance on this? Or?
I've got the guidelines that we discussed broke down, and also in the guidelines I'm going to send you, we didn't really talk about it tonight. It was brought up by one of the residents, or e-bikes, and the only reason I'm putting that in the ordinance and the guidelines is because e-bikes technically shouldn't be operated in the park either, off the parking area, and we're starting to have issues with those. Some of those bikes are pretty powerful. The other ones, but that's addressed in here. But I've got the guidelines. I can send that out to you. The format that is in is basically the same as New Braunfels, and it's not an ordinance. It's just a information packet that can be published. They have theirs online, and then the ordinance itself is worded a little different. It's in code, and I've got that drafted up as well. Of course, that'll have to go through our legal and be formatted properly for our needs. but I can get that sent out. I have not done any putting together of data as far as an education program goes.
Right, right.
So I haven't done any of that. I don't have any of
Right.
that to provide to you. That's gonna be probably a group effort with Cindy doing her magic on social media and that sort of thing. And we'll have to figure out how we can get all that information out there in the most effective way. And we've talked about this with other issues that the city has had. Doesn't matter which way we do it, somebody's gonna say they never got it.
Right.
You know, we can put it in a water bill, they won't read it, we can put it online. A lot of people don't ever access their social media. A lot of older folks don't even use social media. So yes, we'll have to figure out a way of getting that information out to the broadest audience possible. And I'm not as good at that as some other people are, so I'll lean on other people for the distribution of that information.
I was going to ask, I know this is based on my background too. Are we looking at a 30-day grace period if this was to go forward as far as?
And we can talk about that.
That's something
Yeah,
I know
that- and
future down the line.
That's strictly up to you as a council on what you want to do on that. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, you want a grace period to allow the education to sink in, but then again, during that grace period, you're hoping nobody gets hurt because they did something dumb. So, yeah, we don't want anybody hit. We don't want anybody injured on a golf cart or somebody that's not supposed to be driving it and that sort of thing. So, yes, you can put a grace period in the ordinance, but just have to look at it from both sides. You have to look at it from the city side of how long do you want to go and take the chance of somebody getting hurt or starting the enforcement. And there's no guarantee that enforcement's going to keep anybody from getting hurt. There never is. No guarantee from you getting hurt in a motor vehicle accident either. So it's strictly up to you as a council.
So Ryan, would we be able to, assuming that we keep moving forward and we amend the ordinance to allow golf carts, is there a way that we could maybe delay the start of that? You know, and provide a month of education, getting people
Yeah,
the information
you can make it
out?
effective whenever you want, because
We
there's
can make-
other
okay.
requirements that have to go into place before it goes into effect, so.
Okay. I mean, that'd be one
Even though
way
we're home
to.
rule, do we still have to post, I think we still have to post it so many times.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Okay,
And
so that may
again,
be.
there's the other side of that is if you ever want to repeal, it can be done at any time by council based on problems, issues, incidences, those kind of things. It can be instantly repealed, so that's just bringing it back to council to say, you know, people didn't follow the rules, you know, there's too many violations, there's an injury, you know, whatever the case may be, it can be pulled back as a result, so.
Any other questions for Chief or any other comments?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you so much.
Did that answer some of what everybody's been looking for?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. On to number 9, update, city council projects. I can whip through some of these real fast. Aggregate production operations impacting Garden Ridge. We have our first aggregate production operations advisory council meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We're holding it in the community center, trying a little something different. We'll see how that goes. We won't be live streaming it. We're going to record it. We're, again, not that technically savvy over there quite yet, so, you know, we'll be working through the kinks as we go along. 2, mitigation of growth and encroachment impacts on Garden Ridge. The gas station down near Schoenthal is moving forward. They've got their county permits that they need, and they have reached out to Ryan about securing water for their operation, for their facility over there. So that is moving forward. Yeah, it's always water, water, water. Economic development.
I don't have much other than that. We do have a lot of activity. I know you and I have talked,
Yeah.
but a lot of it we cannot talk about right now. So, you know, a lot of activity on 2252, interest along 2252. You know, it's a science though, and you got to pull developers in, and then you got to sell business on filling those developments, right? And so people, they want to mitigate their risk, and they want to know that they can fill these these developments with businesses and possibly people, right? So But to be continued, but some exciting stuff going on right now. Just can't talk about it right now. So.
Right, and my impression is that if we get a development in place, it's not going to be difficult to get the retailers in there. There's a lot of interest, but, currently nowhere them to go. And we are continuing discussions with different developers. So yeah, work in progress, but it's going forward for sure.
And then we're going somewhere soon, right?
Yes, there is Retail Live. There's a Retail Live conference in September. That's a half-day conference that I think some of us will go to and try to shake the bushes a little bit, see what other interests we can get. I guess we're on to 10. Discussion of future agenda items. Anybody have an item they would like on a future agenda? No? Okay, we're on to item 11, citizen comment period. Same rules apply at the beginning. We're not able to respond, but we welcome your comments. It looks like Sharon might have something to say. Oh, heavens.
I got it. Okay, Sharon Stripling, 21729 Forest Water Circle. The first comment was, I didn't realize we were in stage 3 water restrictions. So with that said, I sat and watched my neighbor get his whole driveway, curb and everything power washed the other day. And not one police car, water truck, nobody stopped them. They were there for 6 hours. And that was a lot of wasted water. Onto the golf carts. I really appreciate what the chief did because I've been a little back and forth on this. Living in forest waters, we see a lot at Halloween, which is fine, but everybody's going slow. A lot of them are ATVs. My neighbor's pushing for it. I'm pretty sure theirs is an ATV. I've also had a couple coming through with underage drivers, for sure, going to the club, which is where a lot of them are going to. We've had quite a few, I don't know what you call them, motorized scooters or e-bikes, and they're coming around our curves really, really, I call fast, but it is on that when you have no protection at all. I don't think technically that Bat Cave is necessarily safe or Shanethaw because we have a definite blind spot at Waterwood and Shanethaw that you can't pull out, and there's dump trucks going up and down it or 18-wheelers. And on Bat Cave, when they repaved, you got this much of a drop off the side of the road. And somebody's gonna get, I think those are issues you need to deal with before we try to approve the golf carts, mainly safety, I think. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. You know the routine. Anybody else out there? Looks like we've got Bill. Welcome.
I'm Bill Pohl. I live at 21016 Hickory Bend, and I'm sitting in here on the issue of golf carts. I would request that the city council, in considering this, that they look at the legal exposure that the city has in amending this to permit it. I think taking into account how fractured the city is by these major roads, you know, if we do approve this, open it, what legal liabilities do we take on? Thank you.
Thank you. I see Dr. Miller. Come on up.
Dr. Jim Miller, 9910 Marie Meadow. I have 2 things that need points of clarification, if you will. Number 1 was the water stage. Are we in 2 in Garden Ridge? And was Dwayne talking about San Antonio being in 3? There's some question. I thought we were in 2 and San Antonio was in 3, but he said 3. Did that mean we moved up or what? I don't know. The other point of clarification I needed was the ability of the city council and city manager to respond to questions. I was under the impression that we talked about a month or so ago that you guys can in fact respond to questions. And I was going with that in mind, and I don't want to come up here and have questions for city council and city manager, and like Tony Frasco said, just standing like a bump on a log waiting for you guys to respond. I personally have never had any problems getting an answer from somebody in city council, usually after the meeting or whatever. But I don't know if it's because I come all the time or what, but I think the citizens need to know whether or not they can expect an answer that night when we're talking to you or after the meeting or what. That's all I had.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay, on to item 12, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Anybody have something off this list they'd like to talk about?
Chamber of Commerce. Lunch on August 12th, then a Chat GPT training course on the morning of the 20th. And they have a murder mystery mixer October 23rd. And of course, we'll be lining up something for when we get when the community center is finished and we get all the updates over here done, and we'll schedule something for to have the chambers and invite some other cities up. So.
Anyone else?
We have at least one new Eagle Scouts in the area, so I'm going to try to get that set back up again. Hopefully we have one or two. We'll bring them in here, do the standard recognition, give me a month or two, but we've got another new one. Might be the son of the assistant fire chief. The other thing is, and I can't remember the date, don't have it in my phone because I don't have any kids in the school. When does school start? Because it's like next week, right? 19th. So we got a week or so till school starts. It's going to be before the next meeting. If you're new here, when school starts, traffic goes from bad to even worse. I can't use the appropriate words up here publicly. And we need to be really cognizant of all that school traffic, new drivers, all those other kind of things. So, Chief, I'm going to ask you have Officer Wang out there when school starts.
All right.
I just had a comment. I was going to ask, I've had some constituents actually bring this up, and I think this was a great idea. I'd like to have some discussions on having a monthly coffee with councilmen. I feel like that would be a great opportunity for the constituents to talk with their council members at least once a month, and we could do it in here and have coffee in here. Just some idea or comments I've been thinking about with talking with some of the constituents. So maybe that would alleviate some of the concerns when they're up at the podium asking questions. We could be a good resource to talk to them. So these are just some ideas that I was thinking about, Mayor, that I kind of wanted to bring up. But I'd be happy to meet with them once a month in these chambers for coffee with council members. So that's one of the things I was looking at. So
I'm not sure we're allowed to speak something that's not on the list here. I don't know. We can respond to that.
It can be a future agenda item request.
okay,
Okay?
let's add that. I would appreciate. Yeah, if we
All
could
right,
add that
let's
to-
put it as a future agenda item.
Yes,
then.
ma'am. All right, appreciate it.
Okay,
Feature agenda.
perfect.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Good? Then we are on to item 13, adjournment. There being no further business, the city council regular meeting is adjourned at 7:18 p.m. Oof.